You do. I do.
I
We do.
do.
You do.
We do. You do. Okay, let's have the I do. Yun ito nga I.
Teacher.
Nag-ano yung teacher? Modeling, demonstrating. Okay. The we do is what?
Teacher po ang pupil.
This is what we call the guided practice. Di ba kahuman mo mag-modeling, di rin modeling na nagsayaw sa pag-modelhan, awit modeling, pero malas ka pa ito. Awit ka aton modeling teacher, di rin pagkatawa sa'yo, saya. Kaya ka nga, hindi mo magmamadel-model. Bakit pag kalunis sinin, model ka na dito, di rin amo ha. I do, nagbang-model can sound. Kasi nga, we do, that's guided practice. Now, please remember that guided practice is an activity with the pupils and the teacher. That's why may dakaanay mulay. Bil nga dida, ang mga tanan, nga butang, nga nagtitikanghan, sige daw, lukso nga to, han letra nga may ada. Tunog nga, from you with the teacher, with the pupils. That's we do. Another way ang we do, di-relate to Pernesya. Kaumanhan ikaw nga pupil, anong sunod? Grouping. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, bil nga dida niyo, ang may nga butang, nga may ada, grouping. Kaumanhan grouping, sunod, please take note, kay Corridas na ini, review ini. Kahuman ng grouping, pairing, padis, you two, nasa yung batang mga, kuwaray ako kay you two. Kay you two, mag-you two na kamo, pair. Kay ano? From the big group, from the class to a group, to a pair. Because you are trying to build the confidence of the children in doing the task. Diba? Why do you have the guided practice with pairing? Because the pairing is going to prepare the children for an independent task. Okay? Now the group and the pair might give the confidence to the child to do the work alone. So, and we do will end up with kaumanhan pair. From the pupil and the teacher, pupils na group, then pair, then kahuman, ano naman ang individual, ano yung step? You do. Independent practice. So, ang independent practice, ang ginhimo didahan mga bata, guided practice, uutron didahan independent practice. Gets niyo? So that's reading as a skill. Now, I'd like you to remember this one. It's very important. Next slide. Reading is not a natural language process, okay, which can be acquired without instruction. Please remember, because reading is a skill, it has to be taught. Please manungdong. Sanglit, an akon pakiana nga nasiring, sa dila makakabasag yak ito. That is not true. Because reading cannot be learned without instruction. What then is the implication for us, though, for those learners who cannot read until this time? You have to teach them how to read, no matter how slow. You get me? Okay, because according to expert, reading as a skill has to be taught explicitly. Put that down as a note. Reading as a skill has to be taught explicitly. Diri pwede mabarit bata nga diri mo tututduan. Mamanako na anak, nabaruman dayon, rin manak magtutdo. Kay nagkikirita yung TV. Ang nagtutduhay yan, TV, pipinamati hiya. Pero kung waray mo tiyak expose, diri pa tiyak makakabasa. Do you understand me? Okay, so that is reading as a skill. Next, reading as process. The reading process, also known as the meaning-making process, provides an explanation how reading happens. Naano mahitabo iton pagbasa. To construct meaning, a learner will draw on from their own experiences and from the information available to them. It bata, kukuhaon niya unskilled to read, depende han iya experience. That's why may kita sinisari nga contextualization. Whatever are the experiences of the children, use that because it will help in the process of reading. You know why? Because reading as a process takes time. May daka mo dida mga answer. It will take time. Karayag sighon, it bata, kung nagtutugdo ka, it brain na react. Yan, when we talk about the science of reading. That's why, nasa rin ka mo, kaiya manining nga bata, makaibaro pagbasa. Kay asya, kay waray follow up. Kay asya, kay permi absent. Kay asya, kay genetics. Amo ba yan yung mga answer? Memorize ko ano? Kay asya, kay waray din kakaon. Kaya naman lang, waray din kakaon. Kalitaw, panungdong, reading as process takes time. It is not immediate. Kay process ito hiya. Gimpaprocess pa it brain, hindi mo gintutuddo. That's why, let's go back to number 2 question. There are students who take long before they answer a question. It's because it's the natural process of the brain to process first. That's why do not expect immediately that your learners can read, that your learners can answer you. Ginpa-process from you. Haako niya na, mapakiana ako. Di ka makakabatunda yun. Kaya ano, what's the initial reaction of the brain? Processing yan, processing. And then, ka-process ito ang pagka-organize pa ya ready because pa-process pa. Magkaiwaray makaintindihan question. Maybe, ayan nga, gipa-process ng brain, kawaray pa yung makaintindi. That's why you have to remember, reading as process is not immediate. Sering pa nakabasa ako dito. Ano to? It takes beyond a teacher. Ano to na may ako nagbasahan dito? DLC4? Oh, it takes beyond a teacher. That's right. It takes beyond you. Sering pa ni Rona, nag-split na ako, ma'am. Kinpanganga ko na. Kaya ang process niya maingat. Pares may computer, may nalag, may malagsi ng processor. May processor ng malagsi, may processor ng mahinay. Depende han processor han iya brain. Silent implication, remember, reading as process, do not expect all your 38 grade 1 pupils to be reading at the same time. Because reading is process. Oh, nakaintindi na. So ay nakita pag binasulit na absenteeism, kawara kita ito control. Ito mawaray din ka kaula sa maaraw ka.
Reading is a process. Karag pasar na.
Number 3.
Ito sa mga process.
Sige, next. Ayaw na yan. Okay. Ay laki, tutugduan ko ito hira. Balik, atala. Sige. Okay. Everybody, mga grade 1 teachers, please read.
Sa process.
Can you understand? What is it being referred to? Wow! Give pa process. Okay. Yes, give pa process. Sige. I'll give you 30 seconds. Being adults. Sige, process. Napakiana ako. Nakaintindi ka mo? Yes or no? Be honest. Nasa rin pa ako, waray, lipod-lipod. Anong karibisig mo dito? Anong ginmimin ito nga selection? Kipasayan ano? Okay. Sige. Sige. Okay. Ano daw karagsigo nito, ma'am? A newspaper is better than a magazine. A seashore is a better place than a street. At first, it is better to walk than to run. It requires some skill, but it's easy to learn. Even young children can enjoy it. What could it be referring to?
Basic.
Ano daw ito yung activity?
Magtugtog mga skills.
Sige. Paki-click. Geraldine. Yan na, basa ha, utro. So what is it all about? It's about what? I have already reinforced it. It's about what? Huh? I heard it from this side. It's about what? Individual differences is about what? It's just a simple. Tatagang ko ko din na dayon haning. Mag-uunang ko din na sa rakon. Ha? Oh, really? It's about? Sige lang.
For me, Mom, it's about flying a kite. For kids to learn how to fly a kite, how to create a kite.
Areli, you will have your ink now. Tagipihan ink, Areli. Oh, promise you to dito. Okay, it's about flying kites. Yes, when you fly kites, a newspaper is better than a magazine. A newspaper magaan, magazine mabuka. A seashore is a better place than a street where to fly your kites. Mahusay dito seashore kay mahangin, a street dangerous. At first, it's better to walk than to run. Alam mo, nagdadalagan ka agad. Nagdalalakad ka, di ba? Tapos nagdadalagan ka, nagpapalupad. Then, it requires some skill, but it's easy to learn. Even young children can enjoy. So it's about flying kites. What helped you, Areli? What helped you? The picture, very good. Now, seeing the picture, Areli was able to recall how to fly kites. So, she said it's about flying kites. Di ka mo nga tanan, wari ka mo magpalupad yung banog-banog, kaya di ka mo maaron. Okay. Kaya ano yung processing ng panunobra? Agi, Karisyo na. Nagpanunobra. Kung maliwat ay napa-impress ka mo ha. Sliwat. Sayang lang. Ito ka ng grade 1 lang. Anyway, so, reading as comprehension. Now, according to expert, reading as comprehension takes a lot of what? Patience. What's the most important role of experiences in comprehension? Do you think experience help? Yes. Seeing the picture, nakanungdum, about flying kites. Another experience that children have when they go to school. Kaya ano nga nakakaintindi? Anit may ganira, pagkadahing classroom. Anira what?
Balon.
Anira starts with L. Anira language. Language is the biggest experience that children bring to your classroom. That's why when you ask them, when you tell them a story, and it's very familiar to them, they get to share. Diba? Ay, teacher! Opo, dito amon, may dito sugad. O, gino, teacher. Kay ano? Kay may niya experience, the comprehension starts to what? To play. So, therefore, reading as comprehension, children need the existing knowledge. Anit existing knowledge nira ayaw pagbayai, use that. Kaya nga may kita sinisiyang contextualization. So, it's an interaction between the reader's knowledge to the meaning in the text. Gina-assimilate ito, gina-process. Nare-relate, nakakaintindi. That's why nasa rin, bakit waray makaintindihan pakiana? Sige, kay waray pakaintindi, kay waray niya experience ito, waray niya background knowledge. So therefore, the child was not able to answer because he does not have any background knowledge on that particular topic. Di ba, pag istorya ka nga rin photosynthesis sa grade 3, mag-discuss ka nga rin science concept na photosynthesis la as a process, children will never understand that. But give them example that they can understand like cooking, kakao, nagluluto. Makakaintindi ito. That's why many of our children fail in science because science is a vague concept and teachers do not use the actual experiences of the learners. That's why comprehension is difficult. Now, reading as comprehension is very important that you use the prior knowledge of the learners. I have that one. Remember, if the reader has no prior knowledge to relate to the text, then no amount of rereading will increase comprehension. Do you agree with me? Parehas kami nga nag-impakita. Bis ako magpinabalik-balik kayo, kay waray ko ipapakita nga picture, dire talaga niya magigets. Kay waray ka mo aid. Pero ang picture was a way for you to recall, then makakaintindi ka what was it all about. So, please take note that when you aim for learners to understand, always use their available knowledge. That's why it's very sad that we will be leaving mother tongue. Sunod ng mga to, iba grade 1, diretso English, nagdurila ito. Diba? Sirin ko pa the biggest, strongest facility that children bring to your classroom when they attend school is their own language. Kahit language is pinakadako nga experience nila. Kahit nga tanan nga experience, language is pinaka-powerful tool nila. Okay? So, reading as comprehension, what will we remember? Existing knowledge, prior knowledge, background knowledge. That is reading as comprehension. Development. Reading as development, according to experts, the capacity to read will change qualitatively and quantitatively. Qualitatively is from the root word quality. Quantitatively is from the root word quantity. Nasa rin hirap. According to expert, our capacity to read will increase over time. Qualitatively. The quality of reading. For example, kita, kay adult na, we read higher than our children because may quality na at ipagbasa. And quantity, damo na, kay damo na at napabasahan. So it changes over time. Because reading is development. Hagdan-hagdan, kumbaga. Panungdong. Nasa ring John Piaget. Developmental, children learn through developmental stages. Kita nga tanan, we learn through development. We cannot learn from step 1 immediately to step 5. No. We go through step by step. Likewise, reading, do it step by step. Kaya nga explicit instruction, I do, we do, you do, because reading is development. It has to go through certain stages. We cannot skip one stage. Di kita pwede magduro-diretso. Kung magdiretso kita, ay kay huwad kita. That's why napakiana ko kanina. Nagtutugdo ba ka mo dayon? Pag decode, nasin ka mo, ani ba? Yes, ma'am, kay maarang na rin grade 1. Ani ba? Di rin pa, ma'am. Kay magre-review pa ako, phonics, and sounds, and letters. Kaya ano? Because you believe that reading as development should go through stages. So, pwede ngayon ako magtukdo dayon. Pwede. Kaya ano? Reading is what? Reading is development. Kikikita mo hain nga hagdan ang mga bata. Kaya diri ka nagdidiretsyo. Ang mga nagdidiretsyo, ada siguraduhan talagang at grade ready hira. Okay? Kasi kung nag-post pre-assessment ka nga, tanang hira grade ready, then go. diretso ka na. Kaya nag-go through na yung stages. Pero kung may nakapadamo pa ayaw, do not start right away. Because reading as development should go through certain stages. Kaya may nakita emerging, may nakita transitioning, may developing, may nakita grade ready. Diba? Ang atong stages. Kung emerging pala, paagi ay ito yung transitioning. Pwede ma'am emerging, dumiretso ha, developing, o ano una, pwede ma'am emerging, diretso transitioning. Karang sigmon, actually, dirito niya nag-skip. Umagi ito yung malak sila iyahan developing stage. Do you get me? Diri po yung bata nga emerging, diretso transitioning, diri. Nag-go through ito hiya, pero malak sila iya nga nakaigbaw. Okay? Kay reading as development. Now, remember, reading as development will depend on the quality of your instruction. Again, please remember, even if we believe that reading is development, it will all be affected by the quality instruction, by the kind of instruction you provide your learners. Kung imula ito pa ba, nalala children na yan, adin libro, basa ka mo, adapted, mababaro. Pero kung nagpapamamalhas ka nga naniniguro ka, didasing panirona nag-split, mababaro ito. That's why I'm happy to know that Serene Gladys, out of my 36 nakabasa ang 30, wow, that's a milestone. I congratulate you for that. Because we can never have all the 36 read at the end of the school year because of the other factors that we have to consider. Diba? Congratulations, ito ngayon mo 30. Kaya mo nagtrabaho ka, nag-split ka, nag-ababakwa ka. Waray ka lang magduyan-duyan. Diba? Sanglit ay kabaraka. Say pa ba kung perfect? 36 out of 36 nakabasa. Wow. Tatagan ka na mo din corona nga maingat-ingatan. Tapos, medalya nga dakuan. Sana sugalit paghatag ang outstanding teacher.
Yes!
Amatit akon kin, that's my thought. Dapat ang teachers makapabasa tanan ng kabataan outstanding.
Yes!
Diri ka anda mo ang papel. Sorry. Diri balik diri sa nabira ito nga kung outstanding karakter. Kasi manino pwede maghimin papel. Yan na daw, pwede maging papel. Kaya ko ito paghimuon. Pero wala ko ito trabaho. Diba? Sana ako nalang papilir ng outstanding teacher grade 1. Kaya susudlong magod ka po nga tanan. Proud! Makabasa nga ni nga tanan. Ma'am, ang 143 nga teachers ang grade 1. Utsinta nga tanan, ang nga tanan nagpapakabasa. Din utsinta outstanding.
Wow! Okay, go ma'am, go!
Anyway, atong life history. Dili pa man kita kuan, di pa man ako get ed secretary. Sige lang. So, last. Ang ikaw pa, kalima nga nature of reading, reading as strategy. According to expert, the children, kada bata, may dami a certain strategy to use in reading, in learning how to read. It bata, may niya go dito technique, ano niya pagbasa. Do you believe?
Yes.
Oh, that's why our aim in teaching reading is not for the learners to master a specific strategy. It's not our goal, but our goal is for them to use a strategy that works for them. That's why, if bata, allow her to do what she can para lang yung magbarong pagbasa. Ay pagsing, uy, dito ta siya nagpagtugdo. Diri. Suga din allow, because who knows, that's the strategy that he's using so that he'll be able to read. Diba? Kay siring pa, may individual differences. So, reading a strategy, learners will use their own strategy to be able to read. So, let's recap nature of reading. Read a skill is what?
Reading as
Ano natin, duman kung reading as a skill?
explicit instruction.
It has to be taught explicitly.
Instruction.
Reading as, ang sunod?
Process.
Reading as a process. Ano man tamanunong duman?
How reading
Correct, Sigmund? It takes time. It's not immediate because it's a process. Okay? Reading as a
comprehension.
comprehension, meaning, ano ka rin, Sigmund?
Existing
It
knowledge.
means the prior knowledge,
Kuan. Help.
background knowledge of learners to be able to comprehend. Reading as a
Development.
development, ano ka rin, Sigmund? Quality of instruction,
Will affect
reading as to
the kind of
follow
instruction.
steps or stages. Okay? Reading as a strategy. Anong ka rin, Sigmund? Learners has their own
Strategy.
strategy so that they'll be able to learn how to read. Yan na, nanumdum na kamo. Nakaintindi na kamo nature of reading. Okay. Sige, nato naman kita sunod. Sige, move na lang. Now, let's study the brain, its structure and its function. We are now on the science of reading. Okay? This is how our brain looks. It has different parts. Well, we are not medical students, so let's not study much of those parts. But we have to understand that all human behavior is mediated by the brain and the nervous system. Ito number one na function ng brain is the process of learning. Please remember, number one function of the brain as far as learning is concerned is learning. Now, let's move. Okay. We have what we call the right brain and the left brain. Have you heard about that? Yes. Actually, it refers to right hemisphere and left hemisphere. According to experts, according to doctors, our brain, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere are almost identical. If you have to look at a human brain, the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, magpareho talaga itsura, but they differ in their function. What's the function of the left brain? What's the function of the right brain? And left hemisphere functions as to language-related activities. Ang imo left, sige daw, ano ba left? Mga language-related activities, pagbasa, pagyakan, pag-speech, at ito ang left brain, left hemisphere. Ang right hemisphere naman, ang mga non-verbal stimuli like spatial arts. Ang mga arts, at ito yan nila, mathematics, music, directional orientation, time sequences, and body awareness. So, ang mga creative, ang mga artistic, right brain ito nila. Ang mga linguistically inclined people, they are left brain inclined. Ikaw, anong ka man? Right or left? Right lang, ha?
Waray, nagawas.
Right. Time ka inclined. Left or right brain?
Nagawas.
Kung artist ka, na-dominated mo ka-artist, correct, Sigmund? Dominated kay mo right hemisphere. Kung ikaw mahilig ka magsinurat, magbinasa, left hemisphere. Ay mo na-function in episode.
Right lang.
Okay? Mawaray na function. What time?
Final cord na lang.
Oo. Pero you know, according to studies, 90% of adults ang left hemisphere itong makusog inclination. I believe teachers are left brain. Oo. Ako, mas makusog ako itong most teachers mga left brain. Pero artist ka nga ni, dapat imong factory right hemisphere. Asya ngayon, ako, when I tested myself, nakatest na ka man multiple intelligence test, pag-test ka mo kay makikita high inclination. I scored low in spatial, S-P-A-T-I-A-L, arts. Very abot ang pinakahamubo. Ang pinakataas, language. linguistically inclined ako nga person. So, ako na pinakahataas. So, left brain ako. Okay? Now, why are we talking about this? Because the left and the right hemisphere has something to do with the way we learn how to read. Kaya nag-istorya ko nga inyo. Now, sige daw. Because we have regions of our brain that has something to do with the way we learn how to read. O, panungdong ha? Tutulo nga parts of brain associated with reading. Diri akon ha, expert sini, di ko lang yung mga research. Nasa rin meda dito, phonological assembly. This part, the red part. The red part is what we call the phonological assembly. At di nga gray part, dito nuloyo, orthographic processor. Dito yung front, at di nga violet, phonological processor. Of course, itong waray itong violet dito ha, waray ito. Kinsulat lang ito para makakakita ka mo. Okay. There are three parts in the brain that helps us read. Phonological assembly, orthographic processor, and phonological processor. Okay, let's talk about it. Ano ba yung function hindi nga tutuloy? Okay, sige. Click lang. Now, andito yung front, and phonological processor, it handles spoken language. Hindi nga ba yung front? Nga talan kita, katao na ako, may nakita, intact ito, adito yan, na phonological processor. Didiliwatan luyo, ito nga red, adibot nga. Orthographic processor itawag ito. Handles visual images. Kung may nakitaan ka nga mahusay, na-react dayon ang orthographic processor. Nakaintindi ka mo. Oh, wow! Ang orthographic processor, ito na. Tapos, unspoken language, nakabaton ka, at ako na ito phonological processor. Nakakaintindi ka mo. Okay. Ang didihan luyo, hindi. Ito nga gray part. That's what we call phonological assembly region. Ini nga duduha, orthographic processor and phonological processor, katao naton may na. Intact ito yung part. However, the phonological assembly region, didihan luyo, nagkukonektiyahan, imo nakita, ngan imo nabatian. Hindi nga phonological assembly region ang tit magpo-connect. Katao naton waray pa ito na phonological assembly region. How is it developed? Through experiences. Ngan maarang ba kamo na hindi nga phonological assembly region, this is responsible, the system that will enable us to read. Panungdong, waray kita facility nga daan na pag makakabasa. That's why katawid bata, waray daw bata nga nasin, apple, waray daw ano, waray. Pero may na bata nga nagtutuo, tapos na-react ko ng kabati. Kung di mo minsusulat-sulat yung light, nakita. Kay ano? Kay intact and phonological processor and orthographic processor. But in time, the phonological assembly region in Adya likod, awit hiya itong system na makakabuling pagbasa will only be developed through instructional experiences. Intindis, kariyog sigmon, pagkadat imo grade 1, ayaw pag-expect na hiyaarami na ito. Kaya nagtitikang pala niya phonological assembly processor pag-develop. Ma'am, kay nag-kinder, stage pala ito. Ayaw pagsarina, nakakabasa na ito, ura-ura man nag-inanit, kinder ito. Konongdo, didihan luyuhan phonological assembly processor naton hindi develop through instructional experiences. So then, therefore, what's the implication? Kita nga teachers, magtutugdog talaga. Kahit bata, diri mababa ang pagbasa, kung diri tutugdugan. Diba? Ano ito nga process? Reading as a what? reading a skill. Nasa rin ang nature of reading. Reading a skill. It has to be taught explicitly. As siya ngayon, because of the phonological assembly region ng ating brain, nga diri hiya present katao. Sabi, tutugduan talaga pagbasa. Naintindihan ako niyo.
Yes.
So, dili pwede, sa grito, pag grito na lang ito makakabasa, sa baka mo ito. Again, nag-split na kito mamaiya. Matanan ko na ginimo. Ginawa ko na ang lahat. Bahala lang grade 2. Dili pwede, tutugdog ka talaga. That's why mag-i-NRP ka, mag-i-intervention ka, magre-reinforce ka. Bangin pa ba makabasa ito mga bata? Ano man ang problema? Ang processing, mahinay, reading as process, na lagging, di ba? Nahang. So, at least napupuntahan mo yung instructional experiences. Kontra ba naman ito waray? Okay? Sige, naintindihan ako niyo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yan na, ang sinisiri nga science of reading. So, the science of reading says, humans are not hardwired to read. Correct, Sigmund, kay nakakita kita ang phonological assembly region,
Are
itawo, dili talaga hiya uno na makakabasa. Unlike speaking, itawo, kaya makayakan tayo because of the phonological assembly. Diba? And the spoken language. It's a natural capacity for us to speak, but it's not natural for us to be able to read. Okay? So therefore, the science of reading tells us that we really have to learn to read. We really have to teach children how to read explicitly. Next, another science of reading says reading is a language-based activity. Balik kita ditohan picture kanina. Sige, balik na ito. Ano sa? Yan. Reading happens in the left hemisphere of the brain. That's why it's a language-based activity. Kaya ang reading natatabo sa left hemisphere. It mga bata na maglaksi magbasa, kareksid mo nito, makusog it function it left hemisphere ng brain. It mga bata nga naghinay-hinay, kareksid mo, pamilya nga ba ito artist? Right hemisphere dominant kainin. Oh, di ba? Kasi, according to research, may chances na itong mga bata, mga tao nga dominated right hemisphere, mahina-hina nga diha language-related activities. Do you believe in that? It's tao nga both, o genius ito. Gifted talaga yan. Pag-functioning both. Okay? Sige, nagto kita. Yan, science of reading. So, according to the science of reading, reading is a language-based activity. Correct, Sigon, may pagpabasa, language-based. So, if it's a language-based activity, it is necessary that we use the language that the child is using. Kasi language-based. That's why, when the mother tongue-based program came about, our government had answered this perfectly. Kaya lang yan na, kay RA 12027, ang book din ano. Kaya ni research-based yan. That since reading is functions in the left hemisphere, is a language-based activity, we use the language na familiar ang bata. Okay. Oh, mama siya ngayon na nag-mother tongue. Nasa rin dito ang parent. Okay, nag-mother tongue. Sa'yo man yung pag pinatugdo, pag mother tongue, nadugang kabulok ano. Buot ko ba ito na nanay kay nanay? Ikabulok. Bulok lang talaga. Dito kay tungod na nagmamaray. Diba? Sakit ka mo, hindi mag-explain. Nga itong din-istudyohan ito, nga itong pagbasa, adididit, brain function nga kanan language, ipagbasa. So kung anong language it bata, asit gamita pagtukdok pagbasa, kay nasa rin balitaw, language-based activity reading. Okay? Imagine this.
Yes.
Ano man ito mga
Language-based activity.
Di rin naman yung papagawang mother tongue. Ang principal nga na yung papatranslate na worksheets na ito Filipino. Nga ito English. So, dito. Kapasabaya ka man akong forward na message from Dr. Mabuti. Ang mga school rules and regulations with law, and nasa written law, we can have monolingual class. Meaning, if your children, mga waray-waray, pwede ka lagyan gumamit. Di rin nasa kapag English na. Kaya alam mo man ito pag in-English, padalit to, basper na din nakakaintindi in English. Diba? Roseanne. Ano Roseanne? Asya man? Sige. The science of reading says, there is a simple view of reading. Simple lang. Don't dwell it out of focus. Decoding and comprehension. Ang wala. Ay, nito nga iba. Pero, kadarag ko kay unitary skill balitaw. Unitary skill and reading. Nasin kita ma'am, decoding lang, comprehension lang, pero dako puro nga trabaho yun. Diba? Ano man ang siyahan? Decoding anay. Pero magtutugdo kitahan, comprehension. Okay? And sa science of reading says, creating a rich print environment will support learners to be able to read.
Agoy.
Kaya yung pantanggal na mga word wall at mga chat, yung pantago na. Ada pa, waray na. Ay, ibutang. Balik. Oo. Kay science-based, research-based yan, that when you support what the learners have learned in their classroom, through the things they see on the wall, will reinforce their learning. Salit, ayaw ang dirinig puputang ang mga charts ba nga pinalit ano pa, national store, ang mga charts, paper world, ang ito diri pwede. Pero kung ito hindi mo nga chart, diba, ang pagbasa, ani, nana, ina, amo ito, makakabulit.
Ibabalik
Pero
na,
kung ang
sigurado.
mga chart na, mga picture na, di ba, ipalit mo online, wari man nilingit at bata, do not display that. But anything that has been done in the classroom, pwede ito haibunod. Ang ginhimuhan mga bata, hira naghimo, meaningful ito, ibutang ito haluan. Okay? That's what we mean with rich print environment. Okay, next. Providing engaging mobile and active tasks. Nasa rin kanina nakita. Action songs, games, nakakaiha. Pero don't you know that according to the science of reading, when you provide engaging mobile and active tasks, it will help them to read. So, the science of reading tells us, do not leave singing, playing in your classroom. Okay, ma'am, kayo masamot. Ada. Kinahanglan ni ka mga teacher, maaram ka mag-traffic kung inaano. Maaram ka. Ma'am, kayo maringasa. Maaram ka mo. I love to hear noise in the classroom created by fun, by games. Ang ayun na, miniling ako ito. When I was a school head, namingaw nga ni classroom, napapausa ako, gaarat mo daw ini, makita daw ako. Eh dapat i-grade 1 grade to grade 2, marinasa ito. Normal ito. Di na narinasa nga naglalabag ko, nagway na nagpili. Teacher, ako na teacher. Teacher, ako
Mamingaw ko dira, waray
ang noise
mamjo.
created by learning.
Mamingaw ko dira, waray na mababatian nga ringasa. Kaya kung magiging na ringasa.
So, science of reading na yan. So, therefore, na-disagree ako ito na waste of time with games.
Kita nagkadugo.
Correct, so, because games and songs, according to the science of reading, will facilitate learning.
Oh. Mamingaw
So,
na
nasa ni principal, oy, ano sa ito na ako, ang ringasa, ay sir.
Ang mga ninasing ito.
Yes, pwede naman nila engaging mobile and active tasks will facilitate the learning of reading. Ano to sir, nagkaroon ng sound. Oh, pinorya ito. Eh di mamaya ng mga principal, ano ba ito yung karinasa ninyo? Sabi ko sa mga principal, o mga school heads, in classic grade, kindergarten and grade 3, magbiriyaw nga ni Tagtua, ay urusahon nito, waray kinder to grade 3 ang klase na dapat maminaw. Dapat
Hindi rin nakakabuot.
May tatay na maminaw. Pero kung din nila ito maminaw, ay urusahon nito. Tagtua. Observe pa rin tayo yung teacher, may tagpipin ang lista like mga nag-utang maiyo.
Di ba nga,
Oy, nag-check. Kadamot sa nag-check bukas na abla. Kung ano ba nag-clean up. Diba? So, allow that. So, now that brings me to the big six of reading. Rich na yan. Review. So, we understood that the science of reading, the nature of reading, naintindihan na natin. Naintindihan niyo ang science of reading?
Yes.
Di ba din-discuss na ito, yung ginhalipot ko lahat to. Ang nature of reading, ginhalipot ko lahat to. Okay, now let's review the big six of reading. Okay, I know you have seen this house several times. Diba? This is the house of
Language,
beginning
oral
reading
language.
instruction. According to Eisenhardt. This is the house of Corinne Eisenhardt. That this house will teach us that these are the essential components of early
An oral
literacy,
language.
of beginning reading
Oral language,
instruction. What are these big six of reading?
Oral language.
Oral language,
Phonological.
phonemic awareness, or phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Kaya tinawag silang big six. In other words, the six components are the most essential indicators or factors in teaching how to read. So, if you miss one, then most likely may problema. Bangin later on, di rin makabasa. Okay, now, I'll tackle it one by one. Naghimuhin mo ako, okay. Stop lang. First, at the base is the oral language development. Kaya ano nga base?
Foundation.
Diba? When you build a house, you ensure that your house can withstand any calamity, earthquake, typhoon, di rin marurubak. Likewise, in reading, you need to establish a strong foundation through oral language. I'll discuss later on. Now, the oral language, once it is established, will bring the learners to phonological awareness. This will bring them to adore, makakasunod na hirap. Okay, kaya nga, gimbutang ko adore. Kaya ang phonological awareness, once ang bata establish na ang oral language, it will bring him up to develop phonological awareness. I'll discuss later on. With the phonological awareness that has been established within a child, then the child is ready to decode phonics instruction. Ready na iya pagbasa. Pag-decode, hanasi nga, ma, na. Ready na iya, like phonics. Now, when the child is able to decode, it will now bring him, kung nakamaster niya pagbasa, it will bring him to, of course, phonics, oral language, and phonological awareness will be strengthened by vocabulary. Kaya nga, ginawa kong pillar, harigi. Because the harigi will reinforce, will support the house. Without the vocabulary, the child may not be able to learn the oral language skill, the phonological awareness skill, and the phonics skill without the support of vocabulary. Kaya ginawa ko siyang pillars. Okay? And both vocabulary and all these steps will bring our learners to become fluent readers. The fluency in reading. And because there's fluency of reading, we are sure that we have now a secure house, child who is reading with comprehension. That's why we liken a child to a house when it comes to reading instruction. That in each child, we are building a house. Now, pag imam, itakon house, matiwag-tiwag pa yung nga bata. Ada ayaw lang. Makusog gihapon ito. Bangin, along the way, may sayop dito ang imo pag-build ang house. Okay? Bangin, waray ka makagpundasyon in maupan. So, let's tackle the first one, the oral language. The oral language, according to research, is the critical foundation for reading, writing, and spelling. And it is the engine of learning and thinking. Ano sisi na engine? Engine is what? Fuel. Yes, without fuel, our cars will never move. Diba? Diri madalagan ang auto kung waray gasolina. Amo gihap reading. Without the necessary skill of the oral language, there might be problems in learning how to read. So very important pala ang oral language. That's why, before you read, before you do decoding, the first step is to develop oral language. Kaya napakianak kanina, nagtitikang baka mo dayo.
Amo na
Dapat, develop anay oral language. Dili ka immediately magtutugdok pagbasa. Kay ano? Because the oral language, for example, when the learner exposed to many experiences as far as oral language is concerned, when the child reads, or when you introduce a word, for example, ano a word? Basket. Ang bata, nakabati na ang basket, nakakita na yung nga basket. Pagpabasa with basket, masina, asya nga ito pagbasa with basket. Kaya nabatian na niya, hayakan na niya ang word na basket. That's why, just imagine when we start teaching beginning reading in English, and you will ask the learners to read pan, habalay, karaha. Harayo, di ba? And pan is never present at home. It's not part of his oral language. So therefore, there is a problem in teaching the beginning reading because the oral language is not present. But when you say karaha, because karaha is part of the oral language experiences, then karaha will be very meaningful to the child. Do you get me? Therefore, before we start reading, decoding, make sure that there are a lot of opportunities for the learners to speak. Ano man ang mga technique? Sige daw. Ay, natin ito. Basta hinirakan ko na ito. Okay. Listening activities. Show and tell, show and ask. Daily news, shared reading, read aloud, wordless book, storytelling, picture talk, songs, chants, and raps, poems, rhymes, and interviews. These are the ways to do things. These are the ways to develop oral language development. Okay. For example, in teaching beginning reading, we don't immediately teach sayong ito nga nasin kita nato na ito pagbibaro pagbasa. I-teacher nato, napakita letter A, na nasin kita nga Yan na, ginaano man. Nagtutugdok ka na yung basa ka na yung because shared reading technique will develop the oral language of your learners. Before you begin introducing as in letter A, nagsugo kan ana. Kay ano? Because ang sugo kan ana will allow the learners to develop their oral language kay mama